Hello, everyone, and thank you, Marty, for that. I really appreciate it. I'm here for two reasons, I guess, and those two reasons are Christy Hennessy. Some of you may know him, some of you may not, particularly the younger. Thank you. He would have loved that. It would have meant the world, seriously. But he was my dad, obviously. I was his manager, and he was my best friend. So at the age of 46, he became an overnight sensation when he won an Irma Award for Best Newcomer and beat the Cranberries to it, with a song called Roll Back the Clouds. And his album stayed in the chart for a year, went to number 2, and there was kind of no stopping him. The public fell in love with him. He was an oddball. You know, his comedy was different. He was very shy. He was very gentle. He was very loving. And we just sort of never thought anybody would really get his songs. People like Pat Kenny and Gay Byrne adored him, and they really championed him, and life changed. And then he wrote All the Lies That You Told Me for Frances Black. Well, he actually wrote it for Twiggy, is the real truth, but he changed a bit of it for Frances Black, and then she had that huge hit with it for 12 weeks, so All the Lies That You Told Me. And then he wrote Don't Forget Your Shovel for Christy Moore. He wrote Messenger Boy. Because he was a messenger boy, when he was 11, he wasn't diagnosed as having a chronic dyslexia. He was just told he was stupid and daft and to get out and everything else. And he was actually incredibly well read. It was all talking books or stuff that we would read him, but his knowledge of language was something else. He was very considered about everything that he did, even having had no education and always running away. So at 14 and a half, he took himself off to London, left his mum in Tralee, took himself off to London and decided that he was going to go and work in the building sites with his family. There were 9 of them, 4 brothers, 5 sisters, and he decided that he was going to do the big thing and become a specialist decorator. So he wasn't going to, do the kind of like humping and stuff. He was going to do the pretty stuff because he was creative, which was lovely. By the age of 61, I guess, I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm getting old, he'd never drunk, smoked, or taken a drug in his life. He was kind of a clean living soul in every single way. He was fit, obviously, because he'd been on the building sites, and I guess he sort of thought, I look after my health, and everything's going to be all right, and nothing's ever going to get me, because he just never complained about anything. He was hardy. And he was so grateful for having had the success that he had and to have the opportunity to work with people, meet people, and try and make a difference to their lives. That was very much his thing. He was very much, I guess, a healer at heart, whether it was on stage or off stage. So he got to a point by 61 where I guess he was living the best life that he ever thought he could ever live. He suddenly found a confidence that he didn't have before, because he was always nervous before he get on stage, nervous before we did a TV, nervous before we did a press interview, always shaking, always in a state. And he sort of found a place of sort of comfort, and that was a wonderful thing. But then he got on well. So this sort of gentle and clever and giving and loving soul just disappeared. He became somebody else, but within that 8 months of being diagnosed, he achieved more, I think, than he'd almost ever done before. And it was pretty remarkable, number 1 album at Christmas, huge documentary. He hated being filmed, and he suddenly said, you know what, I'm going to show people what this is like. He was rapidly losing weight. Mesothelioma, asbestos cancer, any cancer, it can be a killer, but he set out to beat it, and he believed he was going to beat it. He was so determined that even right up until the last day when he was lying in his hospice bed, I was meant to be going to see an artist called Seal, because I'd kind of gone into management, and Kylie Minogue was on the television, and he said, did she just say that she was in Australia? I said, no, Dad, she's on the TV in London. He's like, they're giving me too many drugs. I can't see straight. I can't cope with this. He said, you still have to go and do your job. And I was like, no, I want to stay with you. And he was like, no, you go and do your job. And he was completely cognitive. He was together. And it was at 6 o'clock that evening that a friend called me and a family member and basically said he'd rung to say goodbye. And I managed to get a few words out of him. And then he was gone by 5 o'clock in the morning. But the lovely thing is that right up until the end, he was absolutely there. So I guess the two things that I know that, and this I have to say, one thing standing on stage, singing and talking a little bit. But what I have to say is that I thought about it, and I spoke to my sister, and she was like, you have to do this, Last year, at the end of last year, I got appointed, as Marty said, the ambassador for workplace cancer by the Irish Cancer Society, and I went to pick up the Irish Times today, and I literally thought there'd be this tiny piece, and I'm on the front cover and inside, and it's huge, and I was like, oh my goodness me, you can make a difference. And I didn't expect that would ever happen, and that people would sort of listen. And I just thought, well, Dad would really, really want that, so I have to do what he wants. The things he'd want me to say to people are, I know, because I could almost hear him say, if you are working on a building site, or you're a shipbuilder, or you're in a garage, or you're working in the depths of a hospital, or anywhere where asbestos might be, and there's so many different trades, carpentry, where people are coming into contact with chemicals and toxins, wear a mask. Just wear a mask. And if you love somebody that works within those fields, and the boss isn't giving them a mask, buy them one. The second thing is, for me, I guess, is awareness. He was told 2 years before he passed away that he had TB. He was coughing up blood. He'd had this dry cough. He was having trouble singing. He never complained. And I said to him, we've got to go to the doctor. And we were all sort of saying, you've got to go. No, I'll be fine. I've got a tour to do, and other people were sick and I'm not, and it's all fine. So he went, and they gave him strong antibiotics. And they found like a black sort of mass in his lung. And it took forever to get him to go back. And by then it was kind of almost sort of too late. But he knew, and I knew, and the family knew, and we'd had conversations, but we didn't really address it. So I guess it's that thing about with people who might have come into contact with anything, particularly between the ages of 40 and 80, it's worth just keeping an eye on them, or it's worth keeping an eye on yourself and facing it and addressing it. Because the earlier you can, the better it will be. I'm talking, I'm sure, to the converted, but so I guess the last thing I wanted to say, or one of the last things, was that he sang for the Dalai Lama. That was the last song he ever sang, and he held hands with the Dalai Lama, and we have photographs of that. And the Dalai Lama said to him, "You're going somewhere better." And he came home and he said that to me. He said, "You're not going to be here long, but you're going somewhere better." And he said to me, "How does he know that?" I was like, "I don't know, Dad." I said, "Because you're going to live forever, because you keep telling me it's going to be fine." Because he truly believed it was going to be. But he wrote a song while he was sick that basically became his epitaph. And the lyrics are, "Remember me whenever you're blue. Remember me when there's no one holding you. Every time you feel like you can't make it through, remember me and I will be with you." And it's become his most successful record since he passed. And I think that really kind of says it all, that, they're still there. We're still here. It's the stuff that matters. So I guess, just for a recap, really, in early detection, family, friendships, community is so important, because nobody wants to go through this alone. And there are people out there, like a few of the speakers were saying earlier. And the most amazing thing, and I'm sure that if Dad is looking down, he made this happen because he always wanted me to find a boyfriend. He wanted me to have a love of my life. And it was always a disaster. And then I met this amazing professor of neuroscience and applied mathematics, me and a professor of neuroscience. Really? I mean, how does that happen? And he's charming, he's gentle, he's handsome. It's been 2.5 years. And I was reading him this, and I said, and I've probably said nothing that I was going to say, but he said, "It's really important that you tell those people there that the advancements in science and technology, there will be a cure for cancer." He said 110%. He works in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, but he's working with oncologists all the time. And he said, even last week, and he started to read me these articles, huge. So Christy taught me the song I'm about to sing now, so I could perform it at friends' weddings. We used to sing it together. We did a lot of sort of unaccompanied singing, Galway shawl, things like that. And he was like, "That's never going to work." I sang this at his funeral in Tralee, where his statue now stands. And I guess he never would have believed that would be possible. So I'm just thinking about what he might say now. And I guess his message would be, anything is still possible. Thank you. Thank you. That means I don't have to mess with it. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe this far, but grace will lead us home. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Thank you.